Good afternoon, it's 4 p.m. We're bringing you the developing news and the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon, I'm Regina Lay. The headline this hour. President Bongbong Marcos says it will be an unhappy Christmas for those involved in the flood control scandal. In a media conference today, the Marcos presented a report on corruption cases 3 months after his State of the Nation address. Marcos said cases against 37 lawmakers, officials, and contractors have been transmitted to the Ombudsman and that some of these people could face jail before the holidays. The president stressed that his priorities are holding the guilty accountable, recovering stolen funds, and enacting reforms to prevent future corruption.
Palagay ko, hindi palagay ko, alam ko, bago magpasko, marami dito sa napangalanan dito ay palagay ko nasa matatapos na yung kaso nila, buo na yung kaso. Makukulong na sila. Wala silang Merry Christmas. Before Christmas, makukulong na sila. Kaya't, yung mga taong yan na kasabwat dyan, eto, mga walang hiyang ito, na nagnanakaw ng pera ng bayan, tapos na ang maliligaya ninyong araw. Hahabulin na namin kayo.
When asked if former House Speaker Martin Romualdez was among the legislators facing cases, the president said, well, not yet. Marcos also explained why the passport of resigned lawmaker Azali Co has not yet been canceled, and that is because no case has been filed against him yet.
If something else comes out, then he might have to be answerable for something. So, again, you know, we don't file cases for optics. We file cases to put people in jail or to make people answer. And the legal answer is because hindi pa nasampahan ng kaso, therefore the request for the cancellation of his passport cannot yet be made. However, when that time comes, we will immediately cancel his passport.
Vice President Sara Duterte's reaction to President Marcos's president's report was short and, well, not so sweet. Take a listen.
Pwede na niyang ikulong ang sarili niya. Aminin na niya na ano talaga, meron siya pagkukulang.
And here are the other stories that we're watching this Thursday, November 13. Charlie Martin Mendoza has taken his oath as the new chief of the Bureau of Internal Revenue, or BIR. Mendoza previously served in the Finance Department as head of the Revenue Operations Group overseeing BIR and the Bureau of Customs. He replaces Romeo June Lumagi Jr. It is not clear if Lumagi resigned or was fired, but before his departure from the Bureau, Lumagi said there's a possibility that the BIR will miss its 3.2 trillion peso collection target for 2025, and that is because of sluggish government spending, the flood control scandal having weighed heavily on overall tax receipts. The group called United People's Initiative said their 3-day rally in Quezon City is consultative and not meant to topple the government. At a press conference today, retired General Virgilio Garcia, who is the legal counsel of UPI, said the group does not intend to violate the Constitution. He added that the rally aims to hold to account officials involved in the flood control mess and not to press for President Marcos's resignation. The Iglesia Ni Cristo, which is also staging a rally on November 16 to 18, held a separate press conference for themselves. The Independent Commission for Infrastructure is set to file cases against 3 sitting or former senators next week. ICI Chair Justice Andres Reyes says the lawmakers facing charges are not incumbent senators Jinggoy Estrada and Joel Villanueva. Meantime, Reyes said it is still premature to comment on potential cases involving congressmen. And House Deputy Speaker Ronnie Puno is backing the CIDG's move to file inciting to sedition and rebellion charges against Cavite 4th District Representative Kiko Barzaga. He said the move could serve as a lesson for the neophyte lawmaker. Puno claimed that Barzaga has a history of violent behavior, recalling incidents that allegedly led to his removal from several schools. Puno also noted that the House Ethics Committee is expected to continue hearings next week on a separate complaint filed by members of the National Unity Party against Barzaga. Well, the boys are still out today, so joining me today from the Philippine Star, we only have Editor-in-Chief Ami Pamintuan. Hi, Ami.
Hi, Reg. All women today. Happy Thursday,
And we're wearing
everybody.
such feminine colors too. Parang matchy, medyo matchy-matchy.
Red and pink.
Red and pink.
Baka naman may chismis ka, Reg. Bakit nawala yung si
Wala,
BIR
tinatanong
chief?
din namin. We've been asking around as well. Baka hindi kaya hindi naman siguro mapupunta sa DOJ, no?
Hindi, may bago ng DOJ eh.
Oh, acting.
Diba? The OIC has been appointed
Acting Secretary
as the
Frederick Vida.
Justice Secretary.
Oo.
Yeah.
We don't know. All we know at this point is it came as a shock to a lot of people kasi kaka-announce lang ni Commissioner Lumagi ng personnel overhaul within the department. That same day actually, or the day before. So he announced a personnel overhaul at the BIR, and then yun nga, by the next day, we got wind of the fact that he was being replaced.
Saka wala namang bad news about BIR recently, di ba? In fact, yung mga natatandaan kong stories recently, yung final nilang mga tax evasion cases. Di ba? Dito sa mga involved sa flood control.
Some of the...
Yan yung natatandaan ko.
Oo, some of our other editors are saying baka may nasagasaan.
Pero hindi ba, ang balita nga, malakas ang ang alam nating links niya sa si First Lady mismo, hindi ba? Yan ang sinasabi nila.
So for those who
Kaya
don't...
interesting, no?
Oo, it's very interesting. For those who don't know, the first couple are their godparents sa kasal. So, ninong-ninang nila sa kasal, President Marcos and First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos. And the wife of BIR Commissioner June Lumagi, Attorney Carmela Esquivas Lumagi, used to work, or maybe perhaps she still does, works very closely with First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos. In fact, she's one of her closest, most trusted aides. And
Kaya nakakapagtaka.
oo, so biglaan, 'di ba? So far Malacanang hasn't given a reason for why June Lumagi was fired. It's clearly a firing because we would have,
Yes.
if there was if resignation talaga for personal reasons, he would have said so,
He
right?
would have announced, di ba?
It's
Siya
clear.
magsasabi no na health reasons or whatever, hindi ba? Kaya hindi natin alam.
And he's young. I mean, hindi naman mukhang health or personal reasons. I mean, he didn't give any indication that he was slowing down or had to step back or anything like that.
Health problems.
Oo. Ang interesting pa that day was, so we found out late yesterday na yun nga, he's being replaced. Pero that morning, or the day before, there was news na si Commissioner Lumagi said they may not hit the collection target this year because there was a pullback in public spending and it caused some ripple effect, right? I don't think naman siguro that would have been the cause of it. Because...
Saka expected naman yun, di ba? Lahat naman ng macroeconomics natin affected netong Not just the corruption, but yung mga problema overseas, di ba? The Trump factor, kung ano-anong mga problema yan
Exactly.
Kaya you cannot put the blame on a single agency pagdating sa economics.
What was I going to say? Yeah, so he warned that they may not miss the collection target. But then again, put it into context, right? Under June Lumagi, they hit record targets. They hit record collection targets. But then that's also because,
Nawala ako.
nawala si Ami sa picture. But then that's also because we heard, I don't know if this is correct, but we did hear from friends who have businesses that they were being squeezed in some way by the BIR, right? So hindi ko alam how true this is, but anecdotally we have heard a number of people say that at this point. So yun nga, that's one of our big news for today, the surprise replacement of the BIR chief. The other is, of course, the president's report. See, President Marcos held a press con this morning to give an update on the progress of this whole flood control investigation. What did you think, Ami? Ano yung takeaways mo?
No, Merry Christmas. Although sinabi na yun nila Vince Dizon, nila Boying Remulla na they are expecting people to be in jail before Christmas. Sinabi na nila yun eh. So siguro inuulit lang ni President Marcos and is expecting it. By next week, we're expecting cases in court eh. So mag-i-issue na yan ng arrest warrant. So pag nag-issue ng arrest warrant, depende sa kaso, we're expecting non-bailable charges eh. Kaya may makikita nga siguro tayo ngayon kung masasama doon itong mga binanggit ng ICI na they are recommending charges against Manuel Bonoan and three more current and former senators. Tingnan natin. Although mukhang hindi siyempre kasama pa rin si Saldico, no? Hindi na nga kasama siya sa Blue Ribbon bukas eh. Dahil kung Zoom din lang daw ang appearance, wag na lang umappear.
Sabi ni Senator Amy, siya daw yung VIP witness ni Senator Ping, si Zaldico.
Ganun ba?
I don't know how true that is. I don't know if she was just being facetious or...
Okay.
Sabi,
tatanong ko nga. Oo.
siya daw yung VIP witness ni Senator Ping. I don't know if she was joking or she was serious, ni ko alam. We'll find out tomorrow.
Saka significant din yung statement niya about statement ni President Marcos about his cousin, no? Dahil wala pa daw ngang kaso, hindi makakaso. Wala pang iniimbestigahan, wala pang case, no? So kung walang kaso, walang court case, no arrest. Binabanggit ko lang dahil tinuturo siya ng mga nagbabalak ng protesta for the weekend.
Correct.
Na binabantayan naman ng pulis natin.
Correct. Yung sa press con ni BBM kanina, it said that there was a first batch of case referrals to the ombudsman involving 37 of individuals, including lawmakers, former DPWH officials, and contractors. So these people will be charged with, some of the cases that they will be charged with are graft and corruption, malversation, falsification, and plunder. And in this list, nandoon si Senator Joel Villanueva, Senator Jingo Estrada, Zaldico, former Caloocan 2nd District Representative Mitch Cahayon Uy, COA Commissioner Mario Lipana, former DPWH Secretary Manny Bonoan, former DPWH USEC Roberto Bernardo, isa pang former na USEC si Cathy Cabral, other DPWH officials and personnel in the Bulacan 1st District Engineering Office and Region 4B, which is yun nga sa Oriental Mindoro, and representatives of private contractors. Yun yung first batch of case referrals that they're working on. 37 individuals ito in total. Although hindi na nila
Malversation yan with falsification of public documents involving 8.8 million at least, it will be non-bailable. And ang parusa dyan, kung makukonvict ka, is life imprisonment.
For malversation.
Malversation lang. Mas madali daw yun, di ba? Sabi ni Ombudsman Remulla, mas madali siyang i-establish kesa sa plunder.
Mahirap yung plunder.
Ang dami-dami nang na-acquit dahil sa hindi mapatunayan na may personal na di ba?
Yes.
Na nakinabang yung tao.
The threshold for plunder is very high. And of course, may precedent nga, as you said, marami nang na-acquit because of that. And the lawyers will for sure take a look at those precedents, right? Graft and corruption then is on their list, pero it will mahirap din i-prove yung graft and corruption.
Nawala ulit. Graft is available, Depende sa ano.
Oh, here pala, there is They did break down the list of people that they're looking to charge with malversation and violation Section 3E of Republic Act number 3019, which is the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. The other thing that President Marcos raised today was yung BIR, as we were just talking about. BIR has already filed 8.8 billion pesos worth of tax evasion cases versus
yes.
89 contractors and 9 DPWH and COA officials. So, tumataas ng tumataas.
And BIR is working with the Anti-Money Laundering Council. Di ba?
There's a
In
formal...
connection with this, in connection with the corruption cases.
May
Kaya nga
formal...
nakakagulat siyang movement na yan sa BIR.
Oo. I mean, to be sure, we knew of people who didn't like Commissioner June Lumagi. Pero yun nga, as you said, may formal partnership na between DPWH and AMLAC to try to recover some of these stolen funds.
Saka
Yes,
may isa pang development ngayon, di ba, na pinag-uusapan ng mga tao, yung unfortunately may namatay na DPWH engineer sa Sorsogon. Yan, hindi rin natin alam masyado yung detalye nun.
Si attorney...
An engineer.
Oo. Si attorney...
Larry Reyes ba yun?
Engineer Larry Reyes. And he was also
Larry Reyes.
a chairman of the Bids and Awards Committee.
Bids and Awards Committee.
Based on the testimony of DPWH engineers Henry Alcantara and Bryce Hernandez, complicit din tong mga people who are in the Bids and Awards Committee because there's a lot of bid rigging involved, right? So, binibigay sa mga kakonsyaba nila na contractors. Automatic na daw yan. And then, of course, the Bids and Awards Committee people have allegedly also been getting kickbacks, right? So yung the budget trail is it comes from the budget is granted by Congress, tapos inada-download sa specific district engineering offices, and then the people in the district engineering offices are the ones who farm out these projects to their preferred contractors. So hindi pa natin...
hindi pa nababanggit tong engineer na to doon sa sa mga scandals. Although Sorsogon is also a focus of the investigations dahil nga doon sa case naman ni former Senate President Chis Escudero, no?
Oo nga eh.
At, although hindi nababanggit tong engineer na to, and ayan na nga, may statement ng Department of Public Works and Highways na nagre-request daw yung family for privacy.
We don't know yet how involved they are. Okay, at this point, let's bring in our guest for the day. For our first guest, I should say, we're talking to political analyst Ranjit Rai, who is, of course, also the president of Octa Research. Hi, Prof.
Hi,
ladies. Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me.
Nasaan ka, Prof?
I'm in the middle of a hotel talking to some embassies now, giving them a briefing exactly of what we're going to talk about today.
Hala. Are they worried?
Then Mike calls and then says that I have to be on cam. So, I'm always loyal to you guys.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
But what are the embassies saying? Are people getting worried? Are the investors getting worried?
They just want to find out what's happening and getting a sense of. But the president's report today was well-timed, and I think he means what he says and says what he means about making people accountable, because that's what the surveys are showing. 60% are outraged, angry, and nearly more than half, close to 7 out of 10 Filipinos have basically 3 expectations. 1 is to hold people accountable, 2 to see people go to jail, and 3 restitution, to get the money back. It's clear in the surveys. And maybe this is also why the president is doing exactly the kind of reporting he's doing today, that the government is working very hard to see that, something will come out of all these investigations, that people's expectations are going to be met.
But on the other hand, mukhang tuloy-tuloy yung bagsak ng approval ratings, both of the President and Sara Duterte, no?
Yeah.
So parang hindi yata tumatalab yung mga ginagawa. Although medyo dramatic na yung mga moves ni President Marcos, mukhang hindi
Yeah.
yata tumatalab sa tao, no?
Tama
What can you say
eh.
about it?
Yeah, we were surprised. I think of all the survey companies, the biggest drops are seen in Okta. Nearly double digit. And yeah. Well, it is what it is, Ami. People are disappointed. While people appreciate, 83% of Filipinos appreciate the president revealing all these shenanigans as far as flood control projects are concerned. I think the expectation, the leadership expectation, is quite high, and well, I think it's to be expected that his numbers will go down. We are assuming, of course, that the intent of all of this is not PR, but really to we should expose this structural problem as far as governance is concerned in the country, which is corruption. And we hope that it will stabilize and go up for both of them, no? For both the vice president and the president. The vice president now, I think it's not really about corruption. It's really, I think people are asking, what is she doing? Her performance ratings have finally really gone down, no? But it's less about the issue of corruption. I'm sure it is also, but it's more about, she's becoming less and less politically relevant as far as the everyday Filipino is concerned, because they don't see her doing, going out and doing stuff. So but I think her own situation is easily, she can remedy the situation by going out, talking more, and doing the things, the programs that she earmarked for the vice president's office. But the president is, the buck stops with him, and he opened a Pandora's box in a sense. And now the hard work of institutional reform has to start. But it cannot start without accountability and restitution, which is the first, the first phase of all of this. People have to go to jail, money has to be returned, and systems have to be reformed. So I think the president is trying very hard. But you're right, Ami, it's an uphill climb for him now. We've not seen these kinds of declines in Okta for almost a year. We don't see his numbers improving still, because the situation is still problematic in the perception of most Filipinos. But then again, the good out of this is that the president's not here to be popular. The president is here to do the right thing, and that the right thing to do is what he's doing now: holding people accountable, reforming the institutions, reforming the process of governance, especially with regards to these infrastructure development program, helping reform the budget. We're hoping that the senators, kasi sabi, a lot of people are going to jail, Ma'am Ami. Hindi ko alam kung
Yun, kapag
may
natuloy
kasama
na
sila
hindi Merry Christmas sila, may makukulong. You think
may
that
mga
will give a
senador na
bump?
kasama dyan.
Mababump kaya mababump yung ratings ni Presidente? Kung totoo nga hindi Merry Christmas para sa mga taon to. Kung may
I know.
makukulong.
May makukulong daw And so, and especially now we have...
Will that improve his ratings?
But, I don't think it's about ratings anymore. It's about doing the right thing. The president's not here to be popular. He's not running for re-election. And so is the ombudsman, no? And the ombudsman's very, activist and, very, very much involved, no, in this process. He also came out with his own report yesterday, basically saying this is what's going to happen. Please calm down. Please be assured that your government is doing something. So I think the messaging is quite consistent. But to hear this from the president today is dramatic, So
but
people's
Prof,
anger hopefully will be assuaged.
But Prof, I mean, to be honest, he didn't say anything new today. Lahat ito alam na namin. We know that the first batch of cases will be filed next week. We know it'll be malversation and falsification of documents. We know the names. We know the timelines. But what sense are all these gonna be enough? And ikaw ba, when you were watching it, what sense did you get na parang, tama naman, the progress, there has been real progress or kulang pa rin?
This is real progress. I mean, it's not every day you see in the Philippine government and politics people going to jail, you know. I mean, this is the first step in a long process. And I think it's a very important step forward to hold people accountable. I mean, just the amount of savings we have realized because we've taken out so much from flood control, rationalizing the budget. And we hope the Senate will take advantage, no? And reinvest all that or reallocate all that all those funds to health, education. Vince Diesel is a great secretary. He'll probably find a way to, really reduce the cost of DPWH projects so we can build more and better. So, it has to start someplace, no? We're always cynical. That's easy to do, but these things don't happen all the time in Philippine government and politics. Nobody goes to jail. Alam mo yun? And so the last time we had this was the Napoles situation, and that created some good. Obviously not enough, no? Because people still got around the system. But the real step forward will be institutional reform. See, jailing people is one thing, but reforming institutions is another, and that I think is the way forward in the medium to long term. How are we going to, stop, for example, ghost projects? Dapat wala na yan eh. And it can be done. And it will require a whole of nation approach, meaning the private sector, civil society have to come into the budget process, have to come into project management. We all have to pitch in it because this is a systemic, endemic problem, and it's a challenge to both our democracy and development.
It's interesting you mentioned the Vice President's slide, no? Pareho sila ni President Marcos. And meron namang isang consistent na ginagawa si Vice President. She's still attacking President Marcos.
Yeah.
Hindi na ba yun, Nagiging negative na ba yun sa kanya at this point? Yun tuloy-tuloy pa rin na. Puro yun yung naririnig natin, di ba? Anti-government pa rin, anti-Marcos. Yan ang ganon. You think kailangan na niya medyo kumambyo?
I think kailangan niya kumambyo in the sense na, okay, ito yung gagawin ko para sa tao. I won't just comment. I won't just, use my pulpit to attack the president. I'm going to actually contribute to, in my own way, the way Lenny did when she was vice president, no? Contribute in my own way to national development, to helping others, to helping people. I'm sure she's doing something towards that. Anyway, Ami, if you think about it, she's still on top of the surveys for if the elections were held today, 2028. So, she's... in fact, all she has to do is to sit down and watch it. If the government doesn't do anything,
Kaya naman number one siya kasi wala pa naman nag-emerge na iba.
Yeah, that's also true. That's also true. But, based on our surveys...
Hindi naman niya kakumpetensya si President Marcos in 2028.
Yes, that's true.
Nag-iisa lang siya talaga actually.
Yeah, that's true. Pero we also have data to show now, even if we pit her against others, she's doing very well as far as the numbers are concerned. I know they're preliminary, they're very early, they're premature, but that says a lot about how people see her. They see her as a viable alternative, as somebody who they can consider for a future position. That's for the presidency. So if she plays her cards right, she talks less and does more, she'll probably consolidate whatever support that she has now. Because that preference is not permanent. Things change. And we don't know if there are cases against her. We don't know if the issues against her will die. But certainly people don't see her as the issue now. It's really graft and corruption and the buck stops with the president, who, by the way, is trying his best to contain and to respond to the challenge posed by the public.
Oo nga, no, you reminded me, Prof. Aren't you due a report to us? Diba, you did your latest survey is due around now. Was it the president?
Yeah. We're releasing them slowly. Tomorrow we're going to release one survey. And then next week we're going to do the preference survey. We'll release that also after the big rally. We don't want our information kasi to be weaponized. So, it's really hard in this environment to release neutral data. So after the rally, we'll see. And then we'll release our data on the economy also. Maybe reinforcing the perspectives already articulated by other survey agencies, what they've observed. there's a lot of unanimity as far as perceptions about poverty and hunger is concerned. So again, this is all useful for the government so that they can calibrate and recalibrate. The goal is to inform, provide visibility about what's happening so that we can respond, the government can respond, and all of us can also help in the process of responding to these common challenges.
Right. Okay, well, we'll await that report tomorrow, and then we'll call you back in another time. But thank you for stepping away and talking to us this afternoon, even though you're very busy. That was political analyst Ranjit Rai, also the president of Octa Research. Salamat, Prof.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Professor.
We're going to go on a very quick break, but you are watching Storycon on One News. Please stay with us. We'll be right back with another guest.
This is the Story Conference Group, or the Storycon Group.
Welcome back. We've got the developing news and the stories behind the headlines. You are watching Storycon. I'm Regina Lay. Still with me, Ami Pamintuan, the editor-in-chief of the Philippine Star. And also joining us this afternoon, we've got our second guest. We're talking to the United Nations Philippines Resident Coordinator, Arnold Peral. Sir, welcome to Storycon. Good to have you on the set.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me this afternoon.
We're talking to you because the country has just had to suffer its latest disaster, which is the Super Typhoon Uwan. And I wanted to kick off by asking you what your assessment of the damage and losses are, and whether you've had a chance to assess what it's been like.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, indeed, I'm still new in the Philippines. I arrived only in February, but I've been really impressed by two things. Number one, the series of disasters, one after the other. It never stops. It's been the earthquakes and typhoons and now super typhoons. It's really impressive. And the second thing that is
it is number one on the World Risk Index.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. And now that the countries are discussing climate change in Berlin, I think it's really worth looking at this from the angle of the Philippines and how it's impacting more and more the frequency, the impact, the level of disaster. But the second part is also the capacity of preparedness and response that I've seen here in the Philippines. And we have teams on the ground, and we didn't have, as United Nations, a request from the government to have a flash appeal or to reach out to some donors, but our support was welcome. What we could deploy here at the national level was welcome. So we have some mechanism in place in coordination with the government, with civil society, with the private sector to activate some actions. But what has been, I think, the lesson learned of the last few days is how the declaration of the state of calamity after the first typhoon really helped prepare better for the super typhoon. It has unlocked some important resources and I've been really impressed by the number of people who got evacuated before. 1.5 million people almost, right. Like 13 of the 18 region. I mean, it's really, really, really impressive how the level of, it's all about the the prevention, preparedness, preposition, preemptive action, and this is really something that is impressing us as the United Nations. And we have our own also mechanisms of anticipatory action, as we call it. And because we had the prospect of Super Typhoon Uwan, we could unlock some resources, $6 million, for anticipatory action, which means being able to help preposition some food kits to help communities to prepare better, fishermen to move their boats with cash transfers. So it was a lot of small actions, but important actions also at a certain scale to complement all the enormous efforts and the leadership of the government and local government. So definitely the level of preparation, but obviously that's one disaster and one loss of life is way too much.
Right.
We would like to convey our sympathies and regrets to the families.
Right.
It's very hard to avoid all impact, but at least we saw in the last typhoon a lot of preparation and a lot of preventive action.
Mr. Peral, you've mentioned the passage by our country of the Anticipatory Action Law. That's Republic Act 2287. I wasn't even aware that we passed that
Yeah.
kind of law.
Me
It was
neither.
passed in September. Can you tell us more about it? Why is it so important? And you've said that we are the first country to pass such legislation. Why is it so important?
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think it's really a landmark, and not only for the Philippines, but also for the rest of the world. Because countries declare a state of emergency after a disaster. And some resources are made available for local government to take action and to react really quickly. But when you can have this kind of instrument that will allow for the declaration of emergency and state of calamity up to 72 hours before, it will help prepare better. It will help evacuate more people and save more assets, create more awareness, and during these and pre-position some food kits and some health supports before the big event happened, like a typhoon. It's something that the humanitarian community, NGOs, INGOs, community leaders, local government have been advocating for quite some time, and we really think that as United Nations that it has to be celebrated, and we congratulate obviously President Marcos and his government for approving it and putting it forward, and the Congress men and women who made that possible. Now we are really looking forward to see it in action and learn from it. But for sure, it's going to help save lives, many lives, and help recover better and faster. This is obviously what everybody is expecting here in the Philippines, but also globally when we see with the impact of climate change, the level of disaster becoming stronger and faster and more losses. So we need to get better at anticipatory action and prevention.
Go ahead, Emmy. I think she has a follow-up.
Yeah, but Mr. Peral, I think one of the criticisms in the previous week is that we weren't prepared enough for Typhoon Tino, actually.
This is the typhoon before this last super typhoon.
Before Uwan, yes.
Yeah.
Before Uwan.
Uwan.
For Uwan, we were very prepared, but I think it was in reaction to what happened to Typhoon Tino, where we had 224 at least people dead, and about 100 more still missing up to now.
Yes, indeed, and that's why it's important to have this kind of law in place, so things can happen before the typhoon hits. Once it's already there, then it's response, and it takes time. Sometimes it's hard to get there because the access is complicated because of the floods or security issues, or the roads are destroyed, and so on and so forth. So obviously it's harder, and the more you can do. And the window of the 72 hours before is extremely important, but you need to have the means and the resources to actually do something. When it hits, it's already too late. But every typhoon, every disaster is different. There are many elements that makes level of destruction bigger than anticipated. It's really sad what had happened actually indeed in Cebu, when we see the number of dead and still people are missing, and level of destruction and displaced people. It takes time to recover, and it's really hard. So globally and here also nationally, I think it has to be a whole of society approach with the private sector, the community, local government, national government, whole of society approach to work better on this prevention and preparedness, definitely.
But from to follow up on Emmy's question, and from an outsider's perspective, why do you think the country was less prepared for the previous typhoon when all of these elements were already in place, right? The law, as you said, was passed in September?
Yes.
In September. Was it just that we misread just how bad that typhoon was going to be, Typhoon Tino was going to be, or because it's well, not in the biggest island, not in Luzon. So it was in the region that was most hit was the Visayas. Right?
Yeah, I think it's more a question of the sequence of things. The first typhoon was not classified as super typhoon, number one, and number two, because of the first one and the level of destruction, then the current laws allowed the president to declare a state of emergency because there was already a disaster. The law that was passed is not yet in implementation. It needs a decrease of applications, as I understand, the national laws. So for now, there is no instrument to use that as preemptive. And that would be the biggest innovation with this law. For once the decrease of application and everything is activated, it will allow for the years to come to be a lot more efficient in declaring emergency before it hits,
right.
and be able to activate better protocols and actions and investments. So that's what it makes it so unique, and because the Philippines will be the first one to test this kind of approach.
Yeah.
It will have to be careful looked and analyzed, but for sure it will be a landmark and a reference for the rest of the world. We are already using this kind of approach in the mechanism that we have in the UN for humanitarian action, the anticipatory action mechanism that we have. And because it was a super typhoon, the second one,
yeah.
We could activate this $6 million that we put on the table to support the government and local government, because it triggered really, because it was a super typhoon, we could activate this before the typhoon arrives.
Right. We're looking at the before this chart,
numbers,
we were flashing the numbers for Typhoon Tino, which is about 4.2 million people affected.
Yeah.
This one's Tino.
This one is
Tino.
Yeah.
4.2 million affected. 377,000 preemptively evacuated, and about 200 this one says 213, but that's as of November 6th. It's since gone up to over 220. And then before that, the chart before that was the statistics on Typhoon 1, internationally named Feng Wong. So that was 2.4 million people affected and 1.5 million people preemptively evacuated. So 377,000 people preemptively evacuated for Tino, 1.5 million people preemptively evacuated for 1. That's the difference there. And that's why we're seeing far fewer deaths for 1. Moving forward, so you're saying that all of the mechanisms are already in place. For the next disaster, what would the UN like to see in terms of cooperation with the government? And, what kind of working relationship would you like to see there?
Yeah, I think the working relationship is already there. We come a long way of structuring also the protocols and supporting and working together with civil defense, with the Department of Health, Education, the SWD, the LGUs, the local networks. I think we come in complement. And we really try as much as possible to coordinate everything. We want to avoid confusion and duplications of effort.
Yeah.
It has to be very well coordinated, and the fact that the government has this cluster approach where we all can cooperate and collaborate and exchange information and do joint assessments, it's really the key. One thing that impresses me a lot in the Philippines also, and we could see that in the last two disasters, and the second one in particular, is the efficiency in communication. The Pagasa system has been very good in informing in advance, sharing information.
Yeah, their forecasting has been pretty good.
Very good, very good. So people would know what's happening, the level of intensity, the trajectory of the typhoon, and we could all monitor that, and everybody could monitor that. Access to information is absolutely fundamental in this kind of situation, and I think it worked well also in that case. So, I would say just keep the good work, but maybe for the next time, as soon as possible, if we could have this law and have the possibility to use it I think could be a game changer for the next big disasters and these big typhoons that will hit the Philippines.
Yeah.
Mr. Peral, is
Yes,
the
please.
UN considering new initiatives in partnership with our government by way of disaster mitigation, improving preparedness, resilience, sustainable responses? I'm asking in the light of what I'm sure you've been following the flood control scandal,
Yes.
because that's what people think. Our flood control mitigation, it's non-existent. Seeing what happened in Tino, is the UN considering any new projects in light of what's happening now, in light of all these investigations?
Yeah, but for now, we don't have anything specific related to that, but we remain open to support all the efforts to make sure that the investments go where they should go, where the flood controls could happen. These are fundamentals investments that are needed, and I think it was really good to open up also discussions and to have more transparency about those investments, who were responsible, the locations and things. This social control, I think, was a great initiative to put there. And obviously, it opened some sort of a Pandora's box, because it was made evident that some things were not done, and now some people are facing the justice. So I think it's a space that we all have to watch and have again a whole of society approach to make sure that we all control that things really happen in time. So the next time the works will be there, it might not prevent everything, but at least it will reduce the impact. So it's absolutely fundamental to continue those efforts of transparency, accountability, control, and reduction of deviation of resources and things like that, or delays. Sometimes it's just also difficulties to implement. Again, it has to be a joint effort between local level, local government, LGUs, national government, and the society and the communities also to hold everybody accountable at the end of the day for these things to happen.
In the private sector too, don't forget.
In the private sector, obviously.
Just very quickly, one last question. The $6 million budget that you mentioned for anticipatory action this time around, is that always going to be the figure, or how does it work? How do you compute what amount needs to be allocated for the next disaster?
It was a pre-positioning of resources, so that's the good thing. We didn't have to go through lengthy requests to get this money. It was already pre-approved. So the fact that there was a super typhoon coming, we could unlock those resources and made them available to 6 UN organizations, IOM, WFP, FAO, UNFPA, UNICEF, and so on and so forth. So they could immediately activate through their networks, through the communities, the private sector, the farmers, the families, and the local government to support and activate very, very, very quickly. So this pre-positioning of the 6 million made a difference. And we are also testing this new approach and learning from it. There was some additional resources that some organizations like WFP, FAO, and others also put to the table. But again, because there was no national request for fundraising or something like that, or a donor conference, then we had to use existing resources. And we will continue to offer everything that we have available to support the country.
$6 million is about 3.6 billion pesos, I guess. Is it always going to be this amount, or it's going to change every time?
I mean, it depends also on the request and the situation. This was anticipated for 3 regions. But we recalibrated also with the government to establish which criteria to activate those resources. So in that case, it was the threshold was pretty high. We cannot use it for whatever reason. But if there is a super typhoon, something that could be extremely destructive, then we can activate it. So those will be hopefully replenished, and we will have more resources available for any new things. Because
There are very specific criteria that you go through. It's not a
Absolutely.
number that's plucked out of thin
Exactly.
air.
No.
Okay, we will leave the conversation there. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
That was UN Philippines Resident Coordinator, Mr. Arnold Peral.
Thank you, Mr. Peral.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me today.
That is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining Storycon. I'm Ipamintuan, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star. Join us again tomorrow, as always, at 4 p.m. for Storycon. I'm Regina Lay. Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.